Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our English class. So, for today's lesson, we are going to learn about the modal verb will. But before that, Liana, will you please read our set of objectives for today?
Yes, ma'am. Objectives. Define will as a modal verb. Number two, identify the different ways of using will in a sentence. Number three, construct sentences using the modal verb will.
Okay. Will is a modal verb. When you're talking about the future, will is a very common and simple way of describing what you anticipate or plan to happen. For example, she will be catching the she will be catching the train later, but I will travel afterwards. In this case, the word is actually a modal verb and follows the same rules as other modals. So, just like other modal verbs such as can and may, using will as a modal verb means you need to do the following. Renz, will you please the three?
Yes, ma'am. Always use the verb with another verb in the base form. Never change even when using the third person form. He, she, or it. Do not use with the verb do in questions or negatives.
Thank you very much. So, let us move on to the different ways of using the modal verb will. Although will is commonly used as a modal verb to describe the future, there are different ways to express this. So let's take a closer look at some of them and how the word can be used in each case. First, decide to do something now. When you've made the decision that you're going to take an action that is going to happen immediately or soon, you can use the modal verb will to describe this. For example, I will catch the bus to work. Next is for making a promise. If you are promising to do something in the near future, then you can use will in a similar way. In this case, this shows that you are definitely planning on doing the action and it's not just a suggestion. So, only use it when you mean it. Okay, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. For example, she will study harder for the next exam. Okay, let's move on to the next. Liana, will you please read?
Yes, ma'am. Thinking about the future. If you are talking about the future and considering what you think is likely to happen, then using will is a good way of expressing the likelihood of it occurring. For example, I think the election will have a shocking result.
Thank you. But unlike other modals such as may, will expresses that there is a greater certainty of it happening rather than a slight chance. Okay? For conditional sentences, we often use will or the contracted form l as in I'll in the main clause of a conditional sentence when we talk about possible situations in the future. For example, if she gets a job, if she gets the job, She will have to move to Germany. Okay, for the next, will you please read Ren's?
Yes, ma'am. Requests and invitations. We often make requests or invitations with will. For example, will you pass me the salt?
Very good. So now, let us have an activity. I will present some sentences using the modal verb will, and you will state how it was used in the sentence. For number one, Liana, will you please read and answer?
Number one. Which one? Um, I will have the chicken sandwich, please. Letter A. Decide to do something. B. Thinking about the future. C. Conditional sentences. D. Requests and invitations. The answer in number one, ma'am, is letter A. Decide to do something now.
Very good. How about this one, Renz?
Number 2. Will you come for dinner on Saturday? A. Requests and invitations. B. Making a promise. Letter C. Thinking about the future. Letter D. Conditional sentences. The correct answer is letter A, ma'am, because the person was inviting her friend to come over her house on Saturday.
Very good. Okay, for our last item, Liana again.
Number number three. If I study hard, I will get high grades. Letter A. Requests and invitations. B. Making a promise. C. Thinking about the future. D. Conditional sentences. My answer in this number, ma'am, is letter D because the sentence is conditional, ma'am.
Very good. So now I can see that you are already learning, that you already learned. Let us now move on to the rules when using the modal verb will. Using will in the negative. If you have used be in a sentence where will is used positively, then you simply add the negative word not after will. You do not use not after the additional verb. For example, in the positive form, it would be written as I will be coming for dinner, while in the negative form, it would be I will not be coming for dinner, nor I will be not coming for dinner. Next is using will as a contraction. In spoken or colloquial English, you can contract the use of the word will into a shorter word for convenience or simply to make it easier. You do this by replacing the word will with the following form of adding the two letter L, just like I'll, shall. You can also contract the negative form. Will not becomes won't and is used in the same way. For example, they won't be going on holiday this year. So students take note of this that using will correctly takes a bit of practice. So try to use it as often as you can in the different contexts and make sure you include using the contracted or shorter form too so that you are more familiar with it. So for your activity, by the way, this is a take home activity. You will create a sentences using the modal verb will and state what is the use of the will in the sentence. Your works should be submitted in our Google Classroom on or before Monday. Okay, that's all for today. But before we bid our goodbye, is there any questions, clarifications?
None, ma'am.
None? Really? Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Goodbye.
Bye.